So today I'm going to run through how to install a electronic sync cable bulkhead onto the Aquatech Edge housing that I own using simple parts without modifying the housing itself and voiding your warranty. The reason I wanted to look at this is because I wanted to add a strobe to my housing mounted on the grip tray that I added, and I couldn't find a way to do it, and Aquatech only have the Lux above ground flash housing, which isn't going to be good for my situation. So to do this, you'll need a couple of things. Firstly, a 10-cent piece or similar sized coin if you're not from Australia. You'll need what's in this kit. I'll go through that in a second. And obviously the Aquatech housing itself. Now you can see I've got some modifications on the tray and the GoPro mount. They're not needed for this, so it works fine with a standard Aquatech housing, so just ignore that. So to begin, we'll take the back plate off. Now, where is the bulkhead going to be installed? If you look inside here, you can see there's a captive nut with a plastic plug, and that's what it looks like on the outside. You can see there's a slot in there, and that's where we'll use the coin to take that out. So let's do that now. It may be tight at the start, but then it should screw out loosely. And I recommend putting your finger on the back just to catch the nut that will fall out. There's the nut, and this is the plug. And if you look carefully, you should see it's got an O-ring, which is very important because that seals it. So keep this for the future. And now you'll see that there is a unthreaded smooth hole, and the size of the hole is M16, metric 16. You can see there is a little bit of water that seeped into there over time, but it's never leaked in the housing. It stopped at the nut. All good. So what's in the box? So in this box we have three things. We have a sync cord cable, and this may vary depending on what bulkhead you want to install and what camera and strobe you have. So for my example, I've got a 5-pin in-on / CNC style cable for the strobe end, and on the other end I have the 5-pin Nikonos connector for the bulkhead. Then I have a bulkhead that I've ordered myself. These are standard parts, and I'll put all the details and the links for the part numbers in the description below. So here you have the hot shoe, which then connects via these pins onto here, and this is the bulkhead. So this is a Nikonos 5-pin bulkhead, and if you look carefully, by default it comes with this step-up thread. So this thread here is M16, and the inner thread, the same as this thread here, is M14. We don't need this, so let's put that to the side. And the secret ingredient really is these guys. These are a M16 to M14 reducing bush, and they're made of brass, so they shouldn't rust. And so on the outside, you can see that it's about 1 centimeter long. And this is an M16 thread on the outside and an M14 thread on the inside, and it has a little stop on one side, so it can't go any further. So the idea is that you take the M14 thread here, line that up with the reducing bush, thread it through the cable, and then this screws neatly on like that. Then you take the original captive nut, locate it on the thread, and tighten it up. And you imagine the Aquatech housing, the plastic is in between here, with this O-ringed bulkhead on one side, and on the inside is this nut, which will be captive inside the housing itself. So one thing that has been a bit of a concern for me is as you're putting on the sync cord cable over time, tightening and loosening, there is potential for this to come loose over time. And for that reason, what I'm going to do is apply some Loctite or thread locker blue, which is appropriate for this size thread, onto both the inside thread here as I screw this on, and then onto the nut at the end, just to make sure it doesn't loosen over time. There'd be nothing worse than it coming loose while you're underwater and having a great big hole in your housing. Not good. So let's take this bulkhead, we'll thread it into the housing like that. Now remember, this is the same size as the original plug, so there's nothing fancy going on here. We're just using the bushing to increase it from M14 to M16. We then take the original nut, put it through the cable, push it out slightly and locate it so that it won't move, and simply tighten the bulkhead onto the nut. So you can tighten the bulkhead using a spanner or similar tool. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to leave it hand tight for now. You then take the hot shoe attachment, making sure the pins align, and plug it in. It clicks into place. And now we take the camera. I've got a Canon R5. Connect the shutter cable. And then connect the hot shoe. This has a locking lever, which is quite nice. And then normally you'd fit the backing plate and all the rest of it. So now that we have the back plate on, this is the bulkhead itself, right there. And as you can see, it does have a cap on it. So what you want to do is, without the camera installed and a lens port on the housing, you'd want to leak test this to make sure there's no water coming in anywhere, and make sure it's tight enough that it'll stay put, hence the Loctite. And once you've done that and you're confident, then put the camera in, and then the fun part is testing it out. So you unscrew this. Take the cap off. That reveals the Nikonos connection. We then take the cable. This is the strobe end and this is the Nikonos bulkhead end, and then put it into the bulkhead itself, making sure to locate the pins. Screw it in so it's secure. So now we take the strobe end of the cable and connect it to the strobe. The strobe I've got is the Scubalamp D-Pro. Now, when you're testing a strobe above water, just bear in mind that it's not designed to be used frequently above water. So I would only take 1 or 2 test shots and then give it a couple of minutes to cool down, because it's designed to be cooled by water, not in the air. And also use the lowest power setting. So I'll turn that on, set the power level to 1. Then we take our camera. This is a Canon R5. Turn it on. And make sure we are using a electronic first curtain or mechanical shutter. On the Canon R5, mechanical can do up to 1/200th second shutter speed. On the electronic, it goes to 250, so we'll pick that. And also, you should see the external speed light control be enabled. Now we do a test shot. Perfect. And that's pretty much it, guys. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. I hope that helps you out. Thanks again.